So I have hit record, so I guess we'll just sort of vamp for a minute and then do a thing.
Vamp, we're just gonna what for a minute?
Vamp?
I heard vape, and I'm like, if that's your thing, I guess.
We're gonna vape for a minute.
I'm pretty sure that's smoking a bong.
Yeah, I think I made the wrong noise.
The bong is... Did the microphone pick that up?
No.
Damn.
You were like, hold on, it's gonna, I
was right next to the mic too, and it did not pick it up. All right, that's fine. We'll never mind then.
For those who want to know what should have happened, just look up massive bong rip sound effect on YouTube. And you'll get the idea.
Vamp. No, wait, hang on. Oh, Lord. All right, so this is a Dorks Just Chatting. Because I don't think anyone was paying any attention, and all of a sudden it was like Tuesday night, and I was like, oh, hey, it's almost show day.
Yeah.
I was paying a little bit of attention.
I was not. I'm still not back to normal after the Eclipse trip. But that's okay. We got Dorks here, and we're gonna chat. Yeah.
Yes, we are. We're gonna chat.
Yeah.
Like what you just said. I'm not sure why I felt the need to repeat it.
Yeah.
I think I was gonna add something, and I didn't. Yes.
Imagine that.
I contributed nothing.
So I am Chewie. I am here. I'm here. I'm here and there. Mostly in between. Yeah. Brian's here.
I am Brian. I'm also here for now. My stomach has been all over the place, and right now it's settled. But after dinner, I was like, ooh. So I am here for as long as I can be here, and then I may have to not be here. You'll tell. You'll be able to tell because of me not being here. I'll be somewhere else. Yes.
What? Mike may or may not be here.
I'm here. I'm precisely here. Here and nowhere else.
Ooh, fancy. Rub it in, why don't you? And then Dirk is going to give you his normal podcast spiel, I'm sure, even though none of the rest of us have.
Which spiel would that be?
The way you always introduce yourself.
Oh, being green and moral compass stuff?
Oh, look, the one time that I point out that he's going to do it, he didn't.
That is how I roll.
Damn you. So, hello.
You think I'm going to go this way and I juke the other way.
Juke it like it's hot.
I don't... What? So, hello, dear listeners or viewers or wherever you are. Oh my God! So hey guys.
Hey guys. Yes.
I got a new phone. Finally, after all these years, I think I told you that last week in the pre-show. I might not have. I don't know. But
actually,
I got from the girls up north.
Yeah, I went from an iPhone 7, I'm pretty sure, to a 14, which tells you how long I've had it. The 7 wasn't the newest model when I got it, but I think the 8 was the newest model when I got it.
That's right.
That means the next one you're going to get is the iPhone 28.
Something like that, yeah. Like iPhone 8 release date was in 2017. So that sounds about right. So that's a long time to have a phone.
It is.
But because my phone is no longer super old and does not have to be plugged in at all times if I'm using it anymore, I don't have to worry about the battery just draining immediately. I've started listening to podcasts again while I dash.
Oh, cool.
And it is absolutely amazing the effect that has on my mental well-being. Like, I didn't realize that I had missed it as much as I had until I got it back. Like, for a very long time now, dashing has been like a white knuckle teeth gritting, I wish half of the people in this town would just suddenly die endeavor for months and months and months now. And now that I have, British people talking to me about video games again, because I've been listening to a bunch of Kane and Rince episodes, I don't, I still hate everybody, but I don't actively hate everybody. Because I don't have time to be mad because there's British people talking to me and I have to listen to them.
Yeah.
And it just, it keeps occupied enough of a portion of my brain to make me, not realize how much I hate what I'm doing. In a way that music cannot, apparently. Because I've been listening to, Sirius XM for however long now, and that has not put a dent in my hatred of people. But podcasts have.
They engage you on a different level, I guess.
Yeah, with music I can just sort of zone out. But I don't need to zone out. I need to be focusing on something so that I don't, again, hate everyone and everything in this godforsaken, stupid little backwoods town. I haven't wanted to ram anybody who doesn't understand how roundabouts work, for instance.
Wow.
We've had roundabouts here in Kernersville for a very long time, and there's still people that just don't know how to roundabout. And I want to hurt them physically. When I'm behind
them. I live in a community
them.
that has them too, and I get annoyed when people in the circle are like, go ahead, and I'm like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, you're not helping. I love it when the people pull up and then stop and look, and there's literally nothing coming. I'm like, don't stop unless there's something
yield.
coming. Yeah,
it doesn't say stop, it says yield. There's a very big difference between those two.
And it drives me up the wall that
you guys know the entrance to my neighborhood, and you know how if you're going down the highway, depending on which way you go, if you have to make the left, there's the little cutout in the middle of the median, right? And there's no space for two cars. And if you're gonna go left, you go to the middle, and then you wait until it's clear.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going left into the neighborhood, that's if you're going out of the neighborhood, you just go straight and wait to make the left. If you're going into the neighborhood, you can kind of pull around that first part because it makes two lanes. And I cannot tell you how many times people will stop the flow of traffic going down that highway and try to wave me through or just wait. And I'm like, I can't make a left turn. There's too much oncoming traffic. It's not that hard. You even have a cutout lane. Why do you people not understand how traffic works? I really don't. Chewie, you've awakened something in me. Not a good thing.
It's the realization that, oh yeah, people really are just dumb.
I mean, I knew that, but nothing like traffic to bring it out.
yeah.
And somewhere along the line, I think that people forget it's a multi-ton weapon. is really what it is. I think we kind of take them for granted because you have to be, I don't know how old to get a gun. I guess it depends on the state, but you can get a driver's license generally at age 16, a learner's permit somewhere in there, 15 or so, 15 and a half. So we don't treat it like a big deal because we're so used to it, because like everybody needs to have a car.
Yeah, because this idiot country is set up in such a way that you have to have a car to survive.
Because public transportation, now who needs that? That's a hippie thing. So, but we don't give it the respect it deserves. And this is coming from someone who's represented a lot of people with traffic tickets. Go ahead.
It blew my mind when I found out that Judge Doom's ridiculous evil plan in Who Framed Roger Rabbit was actually a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
It's like, I bought the red car so I could dismantle it. It would just make freeways as far as the eye can see. And I was like, that's a really dumb evil plan. And they were like, no, that's an actual evil plan that actually happened.
That actually happened. Yeah. And he talks about, like, all the gas stations and 24-hour convenience stores as far as the eye can see. And I'm like, that probably describes a lot of the California coast, doesn't it? I haven't even been to California. So...
Anyway. It's alright. But yeah, I've been listening to podcasts again, and it's glorious. I said I've been just monstering through pretty much only Kane and Rince episodes, which, if you like video games, I highly recommend the Kane and Rince podcast.
Kane and Rince.
Yeah, it's well, they're the guys that started it are British, and a good, I would say, half at this point of the cast is British. They have, you remember my original plan for the Mana Pool was to have a rotating cast of dorks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they are. They have a rotating cast of, I don't even know, but there's 3 or 4 on every episode. And they pick a game or sometimes a series and they deep dive. And each episode is limited to 2 hours. Hey, Gothic, what is that? 72 months? Thanks, buddy. He resubbed.
Wow.
But I've been listening to the since I just finished Doom Eternal. I've been listening to all the Doom episodes. Before that, I listened to all of the Metroid episodes they've done so far. So yeah, I've been, and like during the trip to and from New York for the eclipse, I just listened to all kinds of random nonsense, including their episode on the Oregon Trail, which was really good. Also, if you're interested in the Oregon Trail, the Video Game Historian on YouTube just did like a full-on documentary about it. That was also really good. And I have hiccups. But anyway, yeah, so hey, I finished Doom Eternal. Well, I finished the main game, the base game of Doom Eternal. I still have the 2 DLCs or I don't know. The Ancient Gods Part 1 and Part 2 I haven't done yet. But oh yeah, they're coming. But oh my god, you guys, it's so good. Like, I loved Doom 2016. And Doom Eternal blows it out of the water in like every conceivable way. Like, I can't, it's hard to describe. Like, they made, so you know how the fundamental thing that you're doing in Doom is you're killing demons. You're one guy going up against all the armies of hell with your trusty shotgun and whatever else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Doom 3 tried to make that serious. And was not as good. Just in general, it wasn't as good. Like, I loved Doom and Doom 2. They were a blast. I didn't love Doom 64, but it was still the same idea. It was way too much wandering around looking for keys and switches. Like, switch hunting was a big part of Doom 64. And I didn't especially like some of the redone sprites for the enemies and the weapons. But it was still a Doom game, you know.
Yeah.
And then Doom 3 was like a dark, spooky horror game that was... It did not have... There was no tongue-in-cheek. It was dead-ass serious with its plot and story and whatnot, which was, you know, entirely absent from earlier games. And I think if it hadn't been named Doom, no one would have played it or cared about it. Because it, like, technically it was really cool with the shadows and whatnot, but the actual gameplay was kind of boring. Like I've said before, the game is it's like 25% too long. Like, if you could just cut out like a quarter of it and squish it together, I think it would be a better game. Because as it is, it's like, I get it. Go to point A and flip a switch. Jesus Christ. I bet there's going to be imps down this corridor. Yeah, there they are. You know. It did give, like, new weapons and new enemies at a fairly good clip, so it never got, like, too boring. But it still was kind of boring. And then Doom 2016 happened, and it was a wonderful breath of fresh air. Like, it sets the tone very early when the Doom Slayer wakes up in this weird sarcophagus surrounded by zombie things and smashes zombies, and then a voice on a screen starts dumping plot at him, and he takes the screen and he slams it against the wall. You're like, yeah! He's like, I don't care, I'm here to kill stuff. But it was still kind of serious, you know?
Yeah.
But then, you know, it was still very, you know, video gamey. Like, if you used the chainsaw on enemies, they would drop ammo. Why? Because video game. Shut up. Don't ask why.
Yeah.
But, like, all of the weapons you'd pick up were, like, off of dead bodies. Stuff like that, you know? It was all very... Like, there was comedy in it, but it was sort of incidental comedy. And it was taking itself somewhat seriously. But then Doom Eternal is like, nope, this is a video game. When you find a new weapon, it's a glowing weapon that's spinning. Like, ammo is color-coded instead of being, oh, it just spits out a bunch of things that are ammo. No, they're excuse me, I got all excited. Each ammo is a different color, so you can quickly tell, like, when you're picking stuff up, what you're full on. And it's got so many new, like, systems.
Right.
The one thing I don't like is all the pop-ups. Like, when you fight a new enemy or a new boss, there's a pop-up that's like, hey, they have a weak point right here. Or, hey, this is how you beat this enemy. I'm like, thanks, I guess? You could have waited until I died once.
Figure it out. Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know,
Like,
minor quibble. But, like, you have less ammo per weapon in Doom Eternal, so you have to focus on, you know, swapping between weapons and knowing when to chainsaw an imp or a zombie or whatever to get more ammo. And each enemy has specific things, not necessarily like specific ways that you have to kill them, but like specific ways that are just better.
Okay.
Like the Arachnotrons have a big ass turret on top of their head, and you really need to take that turret out. You can do it with one shot of the zoomed in scope attachment for the heavy rifle, or with one sticky bomb from your shotgun's grenade launcher thing. And once you do that, they're not as big a long range threat. Like, they still have projectiles, but it's not like a, you know. And it's like, I can see why people might think, oh, well, it's forcing me to do this. I mean, you don't have to. You just probably should. And the Mancubus, the big dudes with the twin flamethrowers, you know, you can do the same thing with each of their guns on each hand. And so, you know, when they first pop up, it's, oh, there's a Mancubus. Pling, pling. All right, now they don't have the same capabilities. They're a lot easier to deal with. And, you know, it seems fairly prescriptive and handholdy until you get to, like, you know, halfway through the game when it's not giving you a Mancubus and a bunch of fodder enemies. It's giving you 2 Mancubus and Cacodemons, and there's a Hell Knight and a bunch of fodder enemies.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a constant, like, your flamethrower that's mounted on your shoulder, when you hit enemies with that, it doesn't really do much damage, but enemies that are on fire drop armor. Don't ask why. It's a video game. Shut up. It's a video game mechanic. So
if you're low on armor, you want to burn them alive first, or set them on fire first.
Yeah, and if you kill them while they're on fire, they jump blah, like a bunch of armor out.
Oh, cool.
But that's on a cooldown. You've also got your regular frag grenade and ice grenades that can freeze enemies in place. And you've got all of your different weapons, each of which has their regular fire and 2 different mods. So, like, the shotgun, for instance, has the sticky bomb grenade launcher, or full auto, where it turns into like a shotgun minigun. It's crazy. I didn't use that very much because the sticky bombs are so amazingly awesome throughout the entire game. All the weapons are always good all the time. Each weapon has, you know, mods that are better or worse depending on your playstyle and situations, but there's nothing that you're like, I never use that because it sucks now. And it's a constant, like, ballet of making sure that you have ammo, making sure that you have, you know, health and armor. When you stagger an enemy and they start flashing, you can do a glory kill, which causes a bunch of health to pop out.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep an eye on your health and try to find enemies that you can stagger to get glory kills to get health. You have to be using your flame belcher to get armor to keep you alive more. You have to keep an eye on your chainsaw cooldown so you can, or charges or whatever it's called, to have ammo. Like, you want to know what weapon works best on which demons. And it's a constant, like I said, it's a ballet. It's a constant dance between killing enemies, regaining health, regaining ammo, hitting weak points, and it's just all over the. And you have so much freedom of movement. Like, you've got a double jump and a double dash.
Right.
And also, when you can initiate glory kills from either fairly close up, or if you have the you can glory kill from further away rune turned on, from much further away. And then the super shotgun has what they call the meat hook, which is a grappling hook that doesn't scorpion get over here enemies to you. It drags you toward whatever you've hooked.
It's a hook shot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it's on the end of a super shotgun. And when you fully upgrade it and do the mastery quest for it, anything that you hook catches fire. And as I've explained, enemies that are on fire, when you hurt them, they drop armor. So you hook onto this and get reeled in and blam, shoot it in the face. A bunch of armor pops out. You turn around and you chainsaw this to get ammo. And then you turn around and you pull out your, I don't know, your plasma rifle, and you brrr that thing, and then you whah with the microwave, the I forgot what it's called, but it's, as you fire your plasma rifle, it'll build up charges, and you can hit the alternate fire, and it's like a short range blah that does big damage really close to you. And then you launch rockets at that thing over there, and then, oh, there's a Cacodemon, so you shoot a sticky bomb in its mouth to stagger it instantly. And then you hear an arachnotron walking up, so you bust out your rifle with the precision bolt to take a shot off, to knock its turret off. And it's just never ending when you're in combat. And it's a constant...
one thing after another after another.
Yeah, and it's constant, like, resource management. And it sounds awful. I'm sure, to some people. But it's all split-second decisions, and it becomes second nature after a while. Like, I hardly ever used my flame belcher, and I kept forgetting that I could switch, like when my ice grenade was on cooldown, I could switch it to the frag grenade. I just never used the frag grenade for so many streams. Like,
Right.
excuse me. But at one point, close to the end of the game, it all just clicked. And I was just flying around the any given battle arena, just blowing stuff up and cackling maniacally, and oh god, health is low, health is low, health is low, blap, 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 okay, you're flashing, health, oh thank god, armor, okay, yes, and then grenade, yes, and it was just, oh my god, it was so good.
I was gonna say, that sounds like something that feels really good when you're in it and you have your flow and you're doing it well.
Yeah. Like, a couple streams ago, I was like, all right, I'm going to try to beat Doom Eternal tonight. Because I had 2 levels left, like 2 full levels left, and then the final boss. And I was hoping the final boss was just the Icon of Sin. Like in Doom 2, you know, the final level is the final boss. And so I played through the last 2 levels. I didn't realize that there was a boss fight at the end of the last full level. And she stymied me for a bit. She's an angel. And she stymied me for a bit because she kept setting the entire freaking floor on fire. But once I figured out how to take her down without dying, and that felt really good, I went to the final level, and there was not the Icon of Sin right in front of me. I was like, crap! And it turns out the final level is the game testing your metal. It throws multiples of every type of thing you've run across. This entire boss monsters, technically, sort of, they're like mini bosses. Like little things that are slightly lesser versions of the cyber demon called tyrants. It just throws all of it at you multiple times as you're working your way through the level, and that's basically the entire level. It's just giant middle fingers to your face from the game. Right. I was also playing on Ultra Violence, which is not the hardest difficulty, but it's one back from that. At least one back from the hardest difficulty that's available at the beginning. And when I finally got to the Icon of Sin, I had been streaming for 4 hours. And the Icon of Sin is massive. And I was like, this is awesome. And it's like, you got to blow off all of his armor. I'm like, all right. I never made it past the first phase. Not once. I think he had 8 pieces of armor that you have to blow off. I think I blow off 6 one time. Because he's got a constant stream of summoned things that are just coming at you. And it was, after I'd been streaming for that long, I just couldn't. I was tired. I'd even mention your Crucible Sword, which is like a big, not quite lightsaber that only has 3 charges. But there were respawning Crucible charges throughout the final level. And respawning Blood Punch refreshes. And respawning chainsaw fuel. So really what you're supposed to do is, when he summons a big demon, you switch to your Crucible Blade and you slice it in half, and then you slice the other one in half because he seems to spawn things in groups of 2. Then you chainsaw some of the smaller enemies to get more ammo, and then you just keep shooting at him. But it was too much, so I called it that night. I'm like, I can't do this tonight. I'm tired. I'm gonna stop. The next night, I beat Phase 1 on the first try. And then I beat Phase 2 on my, I think it was 3rd, maybe 4th try. And I was like, and I felt like I'd earned it. Because in Phase 1, he stands in one place up there. And summons, and it's like a 3 or 4 level area. There's jump pads. You can drop down. There's a portal that warps you from that side to that side over there. It's insane. And the enemies are constantly coming. But Phase 2, it's way worse, and he can move from being just in the front over to the left and over to the right. So you constantly have to keep an eye on where he is. because if you end up close to him, he'll like whap and smack you off of the level, or just shoot a never-ending stream of fireballs at you until he loses sight of you. And it's very stressful. But like I said, I really felt like I'd earned the win when he died, because I was doing the dance of armor and ammo and health and crucible charges, and where is that asshole, and what's the last body part I have to blow up? Damn it, it says 7 of 8. What? But yeah, I was using weapons that I hardly ever used during my main playthrough.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait a minute, I bet the turret mode on the chain gun will really eat the oh my god. And it was so good. And I'm super hyped to do the Ancient Gods Part 1 and 2, the 2 DLCs, which are apparently harder. At least the first one, from what I understand, is super hard. And I'm like, yeah, bring it on. So, like, it's nothing like any other modern first-person shooter at all. Like, there's no recharging shield. If the screen doesn't get red around the edges and you duck around the corner for a few seconds to heal. Yeah. If you want to heal, you have to go actively murder a thing to get health out of it. And it's
like Grandpappy did.
Yeah. And it's so just fast-paced and insane, just like if you ever played the original Dooms. Just like that, but on 3 dimensions instead of 2. And I loved it so much. And like, thinking back to Doom 2016, which I loved, that game sucks in comparison. Like, I still love it, but Doom Eternal is so much better. And something that didn't occur to me at the time, I was just listening earlier today, one of the guys on Kane and Rents on the Doom Eternal episode was like, there's even cartoon sound effects. And I was like, where? And it's like, he heard me. He goes, when you do a glory kill on a Cacodemon and you stab it in the eye and you pull the eye out, there's like a cartoon like popping sound. And I went, oh, there is. Oh my god.
And you didn't think about it until he said it.
Yeah, because like Doom it's supposed to be ridiculous. Because like, you're a lone guy taking on all the armies of hell. That's silly. And Doom Eternal knows that's silly. And its story itself is very serious. Like, there's a lot more story in Doom Eternal. And it comes out of nowhere. Like, when the game starts, you're in your floating Fortress of Solitude. I think it's actually called, like, the Fortress of Doom. Because, of course, it is. In space. And I'm like, when did we get a Justice League Watchtower up here? And it doesn't tell you. That's just where you are. I'm like, all right. And then there's angels. And an order of knights who only appeared in like the last level in the last game. And I'm like, what? And then there's the betrayer who's in hell and you have to go search him out. And I'm like, who's what? And it turns out if you read all of the codices and stuff that you find, it explains all of this. But if you don't want to, it doesn't, you don't have to. You can skip all the cutscenes if you want. Even the first time through. So it's got deep, it's insanely deep lore if you're into that. And if you just want to blow stuff up, you can just blow stuff up. It's so awesome.
Yeah. Talkie. Blow them up.
And, like, I heard some people complain about the platforming, but, like, I thought the platforming was fun. People are like, this isn't Doom. I'm like, did you not remember having to, like, hold shift to run across? Because there was no jump button in original Doom. Like, you not remember having to hold shift and get up ahead of Steam to leap across to that platform over there so you could push a button, and then hold shift to leap across to that platform over there so you could pick up... Shut up.
I got a level creator for the original Doom and Doom 2. And yeah, even in the level creator, there's no actual like second floor to anything. You can cause a bit of a rise in the texture, but you can't ever like make a two-story anything.
No.
So it's kind of
yeah,
kind of a fascinating workaround.
Yeah, they took the raycasting technology from like Wolfenstein 3D and John Carmack somehow made it like a pseudo 3D. But yeah, you can't have anything that's physically on top of something else.
Yep. It was a fascinating exercise in writing levels that way. And that's actually how the icon of sin worked in Doom 2. Is it looks like it's this giant demon, right?
Yeah.
But it's just a wall, and behind the wall, in such a way that it would be impossible to hit directly, is John Romero's head on a stick.
Yep. And when you no-clip through it, you find his head there, and when you shoot it, he goes, "Ah!" It makes a face. I love it.
Yeah, and it dies very easily, but without doing that, you have to shoot it from across the room and hit it in such a way that you're only even hitting it with like indirect damage.
Yeah, you
while
have to.
It's summoning.
You have to. It's spitting out a never-ending swarm of demons, and you have to ride this pillar up, and then shoot at the right time to get a rocket through the hole in the head. And the number of rockets you need, I think it's like 5 or 6 or something. And the whole time, like I said, there's all kinds of enemies that are firing at you. So, like, you turn with a BFG and go blap blap, and then ride the pillar up and get out your rocket launcher and fire. Damn it, I missed. Like it. It was. It's very stressful.
Yeah, I don't think I ever beat it without a cheat code because it was just too stressful.
I never did until I did it on stream. It was pretty awesome. But yeah, if you have any interest in Doom Eternal, I highly recommend you play it. It's on all of the platforms. Apparently even the Switch port is good. From what I understand. It's not, as graphically impressive, obviously, because it's on the Switch, but apparently it is perfectly functional and fun to play. I was like, ooh.
Functional and fun to play is a good combination.
Yeah.
Either one of those on their own is fine, but,
See,
both is better.
That's what I've been doing, is playing Doom Eternal and feeling like the ultimate badass. Because the Doomslayer is, in fact, the ultimate badass.
The ultimate badass. Yeah. Wait.
Yeah. So what you guys been up to?
Work.
See, that was supposed to be a segue to the stuff. To talk about the stuff we talked about before the show.
I know. Yeah. We've been watching some stuff, right, guys? Reading stuff and playing stuff and watching stuff. I've been trying out a couple new mobile games, but that's neither here nor there. You know what I love? Mutants.
Like of the super oh wait, no, that was Dirk.
No, I have for those of you on the internets listening and tuning in, I don't think that anyone is unaware of X-Men 97, and I remember hearing about it months ago.
Well, I'm aware of it, but I don't know. I didn't know what it was exactly.
Right, he was just asking for clarification, so it's not that he's completely out of it.
Just mostly.
So, yeah, back in the 90s, there was the original X-Men animated show, which was all things to a lot of people. Like, just, it's hard to explain. I remember when it was coming out, they had a fantastic ad campaign, and it involved, like, Pizza Hut, I think, and I went to Pizza Hut for, we always went to Pizza Hut after Little League, and I got a free comic, and it was the first time, it was just a little thing that they made for the restaurant, but it was put out by Marvel, and it was the first time I'd ever seen Mr. Sinister, and I'm like, holy crap, this guy looks awesome. However old me, 10-year-old me could not comprehend this crazy looking guy that's like half vampire, half whatever he's got going on. Just like, duh. So I was like, all right. I think that's the first I heard about the show, and I was guaranteed to watch it every Saturday forever. And then it got to the Phoenix arc and the Dark Phoenix arc and just sold. Just come on. I still think that's one of the most successful portrayals of that arc. They keep trying to do it, but I honestly, and this is a bit of a side note, but I think it's a lot easier and a lot more relatable to have 50 stories about 50 less powerful, still powerful, but less powerful characters than to try to tell one story of a much more powerful person.
Mhm.
There's so many problems and constraints that come into that as far as how do you do it well, how do you make it compelling, and they've struggled to do that in the movies. But so heard that X-Men 97 was coming out, and then it had been out for a couple weeks. And the other day, Sam actually managed to finish her homework before stupid o'clock. So that's good. I think she's getting more of it done in class, so that's a good thing. But for a while there, she was staying up late. But so she finished up, and I was like, you know what? I had shown her like 2 or 3 episodes of the original animated series, but this was like over a year ago, and she seemed to enjoy it, but we got away from it, never came back to it. And so, as Mike was asking, if you have any interest in this, yes, it does pick up where the original left off, which the original ran for how many seasons?
5.
Yeah, so you might feel like you need to do some homework. Sam had only seen the first couple episodes. She'd seen a couple of the movies, so she knew who Magneto was, who these people were. Um, but was introduced to a lot more, and she was doing fine with it. She's been enjoying it so far. And we saw episode 5 when after it aired last week, and we watched 4 and 5 together because it was a bit of a two-parter. That's how many episodes that had come out, and I guess the next 6 came out yesterday. We haven't seen it yet, but there's no way to talk about this without spoilers, so I'm not gonna. But like every episode, impactful things happen. So far, there have not been any filler episodes. Somebody on the line online, I've tried to not read a whole lot about it because I want to see it for myself. But some people were mentioning, oh, it's only 10 episodes, but each episode, like, stuff happens. It doesn't feel like everybody's charging up for 3 episodes or flying dynamic to pick on that. I don't think I ever said this on the show, but R.I.P. to Akira Toriyama. Like, talk about an influential figure. But
Right.
I've enjoyed the show immensely, and I definitely think it's worth a watch. And even if you didn't finish the first one, I didn't finish the first series. I made it most of the way through. I don't think I'm having any problems catching up with what's going on, and it's been thoroughly enjoyable. Most of the animation is better. There are 1 or 2 times where I swear, and it's just for like a shot, but like you see the figure, and I swear it almost looks like they stopped animating the rest of them and they're just animating the mouth and nothing else is moving, and it's just kind of like, whoa, what? Took me out of it for a second, but most of the time, because there's so much action, I'm not even noticing people's mouths. So,
I've
yeah,
seen the clip of Cyclops in like a barroom brawl, and that made my jaw drop.
if your experience with Cyclops is just from the Fox movies,
Then
you
you
may
have
not
not
have a
actually
great
experienced Cyclops.
no. And episode 1 will set you straight. I guarantee you. So that's what I've been watching. I
Nice.
started the Three Body Problem. I've read the book. I've started the show, and this is gonna sound like a broken record. I just haven't had time to pick up on it. And Carrie, I don't know, has any interest in it, so it's a matter of like finding time when we're not doing stuff together as a family and when I'm not working. But
What
that seems
what
pretty
is
good
a three
too.
body problem?
It's
I mean, I know
on
what it is in math, but
the Three Body Problem. Was a novel. I actually have the English translation of it right here on my desk. It was written by, okay, my pronunciation is horrible, but Cixin Liu, Liu. Translated by Ken Liu, and winner of the Hugo Award. And Jimmy got this for me. He got me this, and he got me the Hail Mary Project, or Project Hail Mary, for Christmas, because he's like, you know what? You like to read. Do you read a lot of science fiction? I'm like, actually, no. And he's like, then I'm going to get you hooked. And these were both very good examples. It turns out the Three Body Problem is a trilogy, uh, which Project Hail Mary is by the same guy that wrote The Martian, which they turned into the movie with Matt Damon. And it's a lot of science. Dirk, if you have you read it? Have you read Project Hail Mary?
Nope.
You should, because it's literally like the main character. You find this out 10 pages in, is a high school science teacher, and it's fascinating. It A lot of math and science is presented, but it's never done in a way that's like, you're dumb. It's more like, here's some interesting concepts and here's how they would work on in space and stuff. And I'm like, I can follow it. The Three Body Problem is like that on acid. It is like super high concept stuff, and it's mostly done through storytelling. But it took me I read Project Hail Mary in a weekend. Um, the Three Body Problem took me like a month and a half, maybe longer, just because it's meaty. It's it's meaty. So I haven't even started the sequels yet. But they turned the Three Body Problem into a show on Netflix. And I'm enjoying it, but straight off the bat, like when you open Netflix and you look at, without even looking at the trailer, but you look at the title screen, it has like 6 or 7 characters on it. In the Three Body Problem, the novel, there's like 1 or 2 Americans, and that's it. Everybody else is Chinese. And you can maybe see a Chinese person in the lineup if you squint really hard. So, but they changed it for the target audience, blah blah blah. The core concepts are all there. So again, that's what I've been up to. I want to hear what other people have been up to, because I'm boring and I work too much. Next.
I did watch, before we move away from X-Men, I did watch several years ago when the X-Men cartoon was on something. I don't know. Netflix maybe? I don't remember. I did watch it all and was amazed at how well it held up. And then I watched all of the Spider-Man cartoon, and Scott came by, or when Scott still lived here, Scott walked by while I was watching like the 3rd episode or something, and was like, sweet. And that just became a thing that he and I would do, is watch Spider-Man. That also holds up, but I don't think quite as well as X-Men, weirdly.
Nostalgia goggles pretty strong on that one.
I mean, it wasn't like bad or anything, but for some reason, because it was just Spider-Man, the whole you can't do violence in the kids cartoon is a lot more obvious when you can't cut to a different character. So, but that was it, really. I was amazed however long ago that was. It was since I've been an adult. I was amazed at how well the X-Men, ostensibly an adult, I was amazed at how well the X-Men cartoon actually held up. And the first time that I ever saw Mr. Sinister, that I remember anyway was during the Executioner song crossover, where Bishop with his big ass gun blew a hole in Mr. Sinister's head, and he grabbed him and held him up to his face so that Bishop could look through the hole in his head that he just made, and then threw him down and left like it weren't no thing. And I was like, what? Like,
That's a hell of an introduction right there.
yeah, it was like T-1000 style, like hole in the head.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Anyway, that was something that popped in my head when you mentioned it earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Sure.
Well, I think the last time I watched the old X-Men, because I haven't seen 97 yet, was, I think it was the one about Wolverine's origins, where they started talking about, the Weapon X, and I think Omega Red was part of all that.
There you go.
And like the Savage Lands. So I think that was maybe like season 2 or 3 was the last I watched. And I tried to get back into it recently, just to sort of get to work my way up to 97. And I think I ended up stopping on episode 5 and just haven't. There's just been too many things I've been wanting to watch in the meantime, and just haven't had a chance to work my way up to 97. I will say that, like, I enjoyed watching it, like the old X-Men show, and I feel like when I went as a kid jumping into it, it really felt like they were basing it on the comic book series and not kind of going in their own direction. And there were times where it really felt like I should have been reading comic books a lot earlier in my life to feel like I was in the know in terms of what was going on.
That's weird, because as someone who was reading X-Men comics at the time, I felt like this was its own thing.
Well, it was like you introduce Gambit and Wolverine, and I'm going, okay, I know these are like the characters and everything, but I don't know what. All I know is Gambit makes things blow up, and Wolverine has really sharp claws. And that was all I knew, but I mean, they dropped them right into the middle of everything, and it's like, usually, I think at the time, and maybe that was just a 90s thing, where the characters just did really cool things, and nothing was ever explained like, here's what this is, and we're not gonna, sort of pad things for you to say, oh yeah, he has this ability and this and this. No one really padded that back in the 90s. It was just, here's a bunch of cat people, and the dude has a sword that when he yells really loud, it grows and it turns into a bigger sword.
Hey,
and he
hey,
sends
Mike.
out this red beam, and it makes everyone makes him go Thundercats, and all this stuff happens, and you're just left going, sounds legit. Okay.
And then he calls them all hoes.
So
I know that
I think maybe it
reference.
was a 90s thing with the cartoons that you just weren't given any explanation. You just got dropped in the middle, and
Well,
you just
you
kind
see-
of had to be like, okay, something's going on. It's really cool. I don't know what it is.
That's called having faith in your audience to figure it out, where they don't have to sit down and like, look, this is how all this works. And also at the end of every episode, there was the little like thing at the while the end credits were rolling with the weird like CG action figure looking
Oh yeah.
versions of each character, and it had a little thing on the bottom of the screen that said what their powers were.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that.
I did
Yeah.
too, until I watched, like I said to you guys before the show, I watched the first, 3 or 4 episodes of the original show, and when that popped up, I was like, oh yeah, it always used to piss me off because it would go away before Jubilee popped up. and it still
Yeah,
it
I
still
never
did.
got to the later ones. You saw the first 5, and that was about as far as it ever went.
But like, there was enough incidental explanation of what everyone did that you would get a rough idea after watching for a little while. The important
Yeah,
bit
I didn't know
was
what
the-
Gene's powers
I
were
think
for
there were
forever.
I think there were some moments. There were a few moments here or there where one character would see someone else they'd never met do something, and it was like, "What was that?" And the other person gives them a short summary.
Hmm.
Oh, didn't
I-
you know? Blah blah
I
blah.
feel like Gambit did that. Like, he explained to Jubilee what he was doing in like one of those first couple episodes.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, that's cute.
I think Jubilee was meant, in some ways, Jubilee was meant to be a stand-in for the viewer discovering all
Well,
these.
yeah. Well, yeah. You know, just your typical mall baby chili dog eating viewer.
Well, no, he means the person new to all this who has to get things
I know.
explained.
I know.
for-
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because so much of that is the original show was super 90s. The lingo was very 90s, and Jubilee was, you know, indicative of that. But yeah, because she was the new kid on the block, literally. So
Well, like I said, Jean Grey, for the longest time, I had no idea what her powers were.
her powers originally were trying to read people's minds and fainting.
It really annoyed me that she, like, in the 90s comics and then in the cartoon, she didn't have a code name. She just,
Yeah.
Marvel Girl.
it's like Wolverine, Cyclops, Iceman, Jean Grey. Excuse me? Beast.
Yeah, she can turn gray in her jeans.
Ah, she can make
what?
my jeans gray. Oh, I get it.
Ah.
I also really enjoyed, of course, you know, before the show came out, all of the right-wing idiots were like, oh, it's gonna be woke. They've woketized our childhood. That's part of the reason I went back and watched
The X-Men, you idiots.
Yeah, that's part of the
X-Men.
reason I went back and watched like the first few episodes of the original show, and they're not subtle at all.
No.
I mean, the whole condition, quote unquote, of being mutant is indicative of generally two things in popular culture. The obvious one is racism, and that's why Professor X is a stand-in for Martin Luther King Jr. and Magneto is a stand-in for Malcolm X. These very different takes on how do you deal with racism. Something you maybe figure out when you're a little older is, oh wait, they also start learning about themselves around their teenage years. That's when these things change. And they just want to be accepted for who they are. It's also coded for gay. So they've kind of, by definition, always been woke. Because that's kind of the point.
Well,
But
wasn't
no,
that a thing?
that's a
that
recent
was,
thing.
Wasn't that a thing that Stan Lee or one of the people who were behind the X-Men, like the originally behind it, that was the reason why they were doing it, was, you know, the mutants represented the people who were the downtrodden, the, like, you know, African Americans.
Not
gays,
exactly. No, that's a
'cause I
thing
thought
that
there was something like that, that it was supposed to be like a there was a meaning behind it when they formed it that way, or they made it that way.
not from the very very beginning. Like, that's a thing that the right-wing idiots love to point out. Like, Stan Lee even said it's not what it was. Yeah, at first that's not what it was. The reason they were born this way is because he got sick of trying to come up with new weird ways to give people powers. So he was like,
Yeah.
what if they're all just born this way? Cool. But it grew out naturally from that, especially from like the Chris Claremont era of writing.
I I saw an interview that he gave, and this was probably around the time that the original cartoon came out. He's like, I can only have so many people bitten by a radioactive spider, so that this was a workaround. And yeah, but you know what? Sometimes things take on additional meaning over time, and
Yeah, exactly.
and he never said that's not what it can be. He just said this is what I started it as. I don't think he would ever have said you can't interpret it that way. I don't think he was that kind of artist.
Oh no, Stan Lee was notoriously woke. At least he would have been if that was a term that existed back then.
Yes.
Like there's a Stan soapbox screenshot that has been circulating lately of him pointing out how, you know, different people exist and y'all should shut up and get over it. Like
literally the last Stan Lee cameo that is in a Marvel film while he was alive is him in the 60s driving by a military operation and yelling make peace not war, and like flipping him off or something. So I mean, I realized, yes, he can play different characters, but just what a good encapsulation. That absolutely would have been his attitude.
Like, here it is. From a Stan soapbox in 1968, it opens with, "Let's lay it right on the line. Bigotry and racism are among the deadliest social ills plaguing the world today."
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
like, and it just goes on as you'd expect. Like, the only way to destroy them is to expose them, to reveal them for the insidious evils they really are. The bigot is an unreasoning hater, one who hates blindly, fanatically, indiscriminately. If his hang-up is black men, he hates all black men. If a redhead once offended him, hey, he hates all redheads. If some foreigner beat him to a job, he's down on all foreigners. He hates people he's never seen, people he's never known, with equal intensity, with equal venom. Like, this is from 1968. So, yeah, I don't think Stan would ever be like, no, you can't interpret the X-Men that way.
Yeah.
Yay, X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men.
Being woke since at least the late 60s.
Yeah. But I want to hear, and that's awesome. I want to hear what others people have been up to as well.
Yeah, Dirk, you said something about a different kind of mutant earlier, right? Are there super mutants in the Fallout show? I haven't watched it yet. Nope, I think
you haven't watched Fallout yet?
No, I don't watch anything. I'm supposed to be watching Fallout with Renee, but Renee hasn't come back yet, so. Did Dirk walk away or mute? I'm going to guess he walked away then.
I'm guessing so, too.
And Phineas in the chat says, next thing you'll say is Star Trek is woke.
No.
I have heard people complain about that.
Like recently?
But
Yeah.
Oh, that's awkward.
But Kirk is the ideal man. Grabbing every woman he can come into contact with.
Right? I'm going to show you little Kirk. Ew. I feel dirty just saying that.
You really... I mean, it's good that you recognize that.
Where did Dirk go?
I'm right here.
Oh!
Hey, man.
Sorry, I got a phone call from my dad.
Hi,
okay?
Dirk's dad. Always liked him. He's way cooler than his son. What?
More often.
So, Dirk,
yes.
are there super mutants in the Fallout show?
I haven't seen any.
Okay, that's probably
I'm 6. I haven't gotten to all the episodes yet. I think I'm on episode 5 or 6. This one. Like I'm looking up to see where I am. I finished up episode 5. I'm on 6 right now.
Nice.
And I think there's only 8 episodes. Yeah, 8 episodes. So I only got 3 episodes left. But yeah, I haven't seen any Super Mutants yet. But yes, the show is very Fallout-y.
Yeah, I remember the
Yeah,
initial
that is the technical term.
The initial like teaser trailer. I was like, and then they showed like the full trailer, and I was like, this looks amazing. And I keep hearing from people on social media and whatnot that it is, in fact, really Fallout. And I was like, ooh.
They did a really good job. There are definitely people that are like, oh, that's really cool and everything. And then as you get to meet them, you're like, yeah, that person really is just an awful, terrible person. And
Just
then
like in
some
Fallout.
of the, yeah. And then right now there's a mystery going on. And you're kind of caught in like okay, something's going on. I don't know who to trust anymore. I have my character. I have a couple of characters. I'm like, okay, I trust them because I know what they're kind of going through what I'm going through. I'm like, okay, I trust them. I'm starting to really not trust people who I thought were just what I would call like NPC people. Like you're just like, okay, you're just here because we need this person has this job. And you're like, okay, that person has that job, whatever. And then as you go, you're going, okay, now I'm not so sure. And this person is really starting to make me feel like there's something going on. And yeah, it's that there's a lot going on that keeps you engaged with it. I haven't been bored with the episodes.
Good. Are they all out, or are they still being released?
Oh, unlike Disney, Amazon does a really good job just being like, here you go, here's everything. Binge it to your heart's content. And then after you do that, come back a week later and binge it again. Because you miss stuff. You need to watch it again. And then a week later, it's like, hey, are you sure you got everything?
I'm pretty sure it's already been... Yeah, it's already been renewed for a second season. So that's good. Because anytime you can get more of Walton Goggins with no nose, it's a good time.
Well, and even where I am, there are just so many, like I said, there's just so much going on and so many people. You're like, okay, I want to know what their deal is. And as of right now, all you know is what their current situation is. You don't know anything about their background or their history. And it just makes you go, okay, I need you guys to stop, and I need you to do the, where we do the backstory episode. I need you guys to do that. And they don't. And it makes me just be like, okay, you've hooked me. Good job, guys. You hooked me.
That kind of is the point, yes.
I applaud you.
I saw. So how is the vibe of it for like how Fallout-y is it? Is it extremely Fallout-y?
All the little notes and things that you would expect from Fallout are hit. So you've got the technology, you got the absolute wastelandy setting. Like the setting is really, really good, and they're callbacks to previous things that are not from the movie but are from the games. There's a couple things that just when you're shown it, and I'm trying to be as ambiguous as possible with this, that if you've played Fallout 1 or 2, there are some locales that are mentioned that you get to kind of check in on. And it makes you go, okay, I assumed stuff that there would be things in place, and they are not there anymore. So now I'm curious as to what's going on, as to why things are not where they're supposed to be. And so it deepens the mystery of the show, but if you're looking at Fallout through the optimistic lens, humanity has found a way to get around all the obstacles and all the challenges that are there. If you're watching the show as a pessimist, yes, the future is bleak, and nothing seems to be, everything when you're thinking, okay, everything's going to get better. We're going to get better at some point. No, it's not. The show keeps that vibe going, that there's always stuff going on. The future, every time we think we've got things squared away, it just gets thrown into the air. Someone rage quits and flips the table on us. And then there are also just funny parts in it where you are left laughing and being like, okay, that was good. that was really funny. But a lot of the tropes, like Radaway, get mentioned. You see stems, you see people doing this and that. And you see your main character definitely go from being this chipper, optimistic person to realizing, yeah, things are not great on the surface. And having to kind of adjust themselves to the world on the surface, as opposed to what's going on below. So, all in all, again, I've done the first 5 episodes. It is a really good show. It is solidly got my interest, and hearing that there is a second season that they're planning on doing, I am all for it.
Nice.
So, if we're going to compare this against another Amazon series, I did watch The Rings of Power, and that had me interested, and I watched and everything, and I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was kind of cool, but it doesn't have me, that did not have me as excited as I am about Fallout. Because it feels like there's so much stuff that the game series put down that the show is making callbacks to and giving fans a little bit of a taste of what they love, and I just want more of it. I want to know more. I want to see more. And so that's what's got me really hooked, is to see what happens to the characters. I want to see what happened to that side of the country after what's happened.
Nice. Cool.
And no, we don't have to go on a Ring of Power rant.
I never watched it. Because I'm the worst.
Nah. It was really, really cool, but I can understand why a lot of people, especially Tolkien fans, were kind of left going,
All right, then.
So that's Mike's turn.
Yeah, in terms of consuming new media recently, which seems to be what the theme is, the most recent movie I saw was Dune 2. I'm glad I did, because it was awesome. I was wondering how they were going to stick the landing, and there were several things. There were a few things that afterwards I was like, I wasn't sure whether I was remembering something from in the book that was different or in the David Lynch movie that was different. From what I saw, it's like, wait, how did that happen? I don't know. Like, and I'm surprised I haven't gone back to look it up later. Like, of course, in the David Lynch movie, Paul's sister is like born before the end of the movie, but it doesn't happen quite that way in this one. And I'm like, wait, what really happened? Do you guys remember? I forgot to look it up.
This sounds really familiar. I swear we had this conversation.
We did, but I don't remember
it,
whether we had it on air or afterwards.
I think it was
or outside of this entirely.
I think it was on a Dorks Just Chatting episode, actually.
Oh, okay.
Happened in the book.
Oh, well, then I guess I've already talked about this.
Because she was born in the book because
okay.
I know this is spoiling everything and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure in the book that they had that Paul and his wife had kids, and they were killed.
Yeah, by a Harkonnen raid.
Right, and the sister was captured.
I don't know about
like she was the only survivor of the raid.
I don't remember that.
Granted, the book, it's been a little while since I read the book, but
yeah, I don't.
I do remember that Paul and Johnny had, I think it was 2 kids who.
Yeah, and Theo or Lee, was it? What was his dad's name?
Leto.
Leto. One of the babies was Leto.
Yeah. And they were off doing something, and the Harkonnens raided the Siege and killed both of their kids. And that was a mistake, it turns out. But I guess because of the truncated time scale of the new movie, they just didn't bother with all that.
Yeah, I forgot about that entirely.
Yeah, it seems gratuitous and unnecessary fridging of children. Turns out we don't really need that in a in a movie if it's not necessary,
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like how people were complaining that now I haven't watched this yet, but I know people were complaining that in the new Avatar live action show that Sokka wasn't insanely sexist at the beginning, and they're like, "Whoa, it's not Sokka then." I'm like, you do know that. Like, have you ever heard of a character arc? I'm like, you do know that male characters can have an arc other than, oh wait, you mean women can think for themselves? Like,
yeah.
Like, it's okay for
so
that to not be a common thing anymore.
So
he can have a different kind of arc.
I guess I just didn't mention that because I've been talking about everything else, but we did watch, as a family...
Turn back to the microphone, Brian.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. This headset sometimes. We as a family did watch the Netflix Avatar, and as a family, we've probably seen the animated version at least 3 times the whole way through, if not 4. And so we, speaking for my family, enjoyed it. It does not replace the original, but it was enjoyable. Sokka's arc is different, but Sokka's tough. Sokka's tough. With the original live-action movie, may it rest in pieces. What do you do with Sokka? Do you make him completely silly? Because in the animated, he's very silly, but you kind of need to take him seriously because he's the most proficient non-bender in the main cast. He's the only non-bender in the main cast, and that's pointed out a couple times, but he has different strengths. And I was a little worried from the first 2 episodes. I'm like, oh, they're going the super serious. But then you see aspects of his personality that lighten him up, and they make sense. And honestly, I think all of the characters, all of the actors in this are just doing a very good job. Um, and they aren't hitting every episode, which I'm glad. If they were, I don't need to see this again. Sorry, Disney remakes. I don't need to see the same thing again. But there's an episode where in the background, someone is looking for the Avatar, and they're in a bar, and somebody's like, I heard they stopped a volcano. No, I heard they did this. And they reference like 3 or 4 of the original episodes that they just didn't do in this. So it's almost like, did these things really happen? We just didn't see them? Or in this universe, are they just kind of like, yeah, and he, George Washington cut down the cherry tree with one hand tied behind his back and his silver teeth out, or wooden, or whatever. So I enjoyed it. It was not terrible. It does not replace the original, but I am honestly anxious. Not anxious. I'm anticipating seeing what they do with the next season, because the live action movies never got past water, and that's probably for the best. So I am curious to see where they go from here on the show. I enjoyed it, and it does capture a lot of the whimsy of the show, but not all of it. And I think it's tonally more dark and more serious. And if you have someone that you want to show Avatar to, but maybe you think they get turned off with, the first thing Aang says is, do you want to go penguin sledding in the original? If you think that they'd be a little like tonally dissonant from that, maybe show them this, and then if they enjoy it, then be like, hey, this was a whole other thing, and see if they want to see that too.
That is always a thing that that bothers me about the original show, is that first season, because it was on Nickelodeon, is very kiddie and silly, like to the point where it's a bit much. But it was on Nickelodeon, so like, of course it is. But it doesn't take long for them to dial back on the super silliness. I mean, like 5 or 6 episodes, and then they're not like, they're still a kid show and it's still fun and all of that, but it's not like anymore.
I'd argue even like starting on the 3rd episode when they go to the Southern Air Temple, and Aang's like, I'm going to see all my friends. And they're like, they're probably dead. He's like, some of them got away. And they, spoiler alert,
narrator voice, they did not.
There's still whimsy there, but there are, the first 2 episodes are very sugar sweet, unless you already know what's coming. But from a first time perspective, I think it can be a bit like, you have your family, I want you to watch this, and they start, and they're like, you do know this is for kids, right? The Netflix show, you don't have that mistake. Should I talk about the first 5 episodes? For 5 episodes, no. Should I talk about the first 5 minutes, or should I just leave it alone? Because it's literally like the first 5 minutes.
Oh, I mean, if you wanna.
Okay, here's all I'm going to say. It doesn't start with Aang waking up. It starts 100 years ago with the Fire Nation and the comet, and they're about to wipe out the air nomads. Very, very different tone.
I should say so. Oh, Chifuji said they announced they're doing an animated Avatar: The Last Airbender movie following grown-up Aang. Oh, that was real? Huh. Did not realize that was real. I thought that was some nonsense that was just being spread around the internet. Is that really real? I still don't believe
Be sure about that. Yeah. That kind of sounds like an April Fool's joke. I mean, granted, I don't know. I think I'd be into that because as much as I enjoy the Netflix show, we've seen this before in some form. That would be something that we haven't seen before. It would be a new story. What?
Apparently, it's coming out next year, and I can't tell how old this news is, but apparently they were supposed to be 3? That seems a bit much. Weird. Chifuji also said a Dune and Fallout connection. Colin McLaughlin played Paul in the Lynch adaptation of Dune, and he also plays the main character's father and Vault Overseer in Fallout. And that weirds me out because I cannot see Colin McLaughlin in anything without seeing like baby Paul Atreides. Like I never watched Twin Peaks, so I don't see him as whatever that guy's name was. Like everyone else does. I see him as Paul Atreides. Always. Always. Yeah. And it's a problem. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Just Chuck Saw. Oh, wait. No, hang on.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is also my thing. Although every time I watch How I Met Your Mother, I at least get a little bit of the, oh, okay, he was in How You Met Your Mother. But deep down, I definitely remember him as Paul Atreides.
Colin McLaughlin was in How I Met Your Mother? That's trippy.
Mm-hmm. He was the captain.
I have no idea what that means, and please don't tell me. That's one of those shows that eventually I will get bored enough to start like watching all of it, like while I'm doing other stuff. But it is not this day.
Not this day. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
But it is not this day.
Oh, hey, speaking of Lord of the Rings quotes, I finally have started that up again.
Nice.
As I was streaming, what was I playing last night? Rogue Book? When I got done with the stream and closed the game, what was on the screen was my Lord of the Rings setup, which was half of the screen is the spreadsheet, and then the other half of the screen is two browser window, not browser, Windows browser windows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
File folder windows. There we go. Open to the section I'm currently reading, and then the section of assorted other cards. So yay, now that I'm done with the charity stream and with the Eclipse trip, I can finally get back to that. Finally.
Nice.
And I'm very excited.
You should be.
Also, it's been so long since I read the books that my brain has been poisoned by where the cutoff in the movies is. And that's not the same.
Not at all. And I really, really, really enjoy the movies. And I do think that they make, if not improvements, at least they make some very smart decisions. But it did feel weird being in the audience watching the Two Towers. And Gollum is like, she'll take care of them. Fade to black. And I'm like, what? Wait, but her... And the spiders and this isn't where this ends. So I think that's just me being like, I went in there like, I know this, ha 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 ha, and no. I've been doing well while we've been talking, but the hour of reckoning is at hand. So
not the hour of reckoning.
Okay, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna go like in the next minute. My final thought is it's been great talking to everybody, and I'm happy to talk to you guys again next week if we can do it. So, everybody out there be good. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Poor Brian.
Something tells me Brian suddenly had to poop. I probably wasn't supposed to point that out, but everybody poops, as the book said. That was the Bible, right? Whatever book that was. I don't know.
Yeah. Confucian Thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, my bad. The Art of War.
How to make friends and influence people.
7 habits of highly effective people.
There you go.
Habit 6. Everybody poops. Is it weird how there's like generationally there's like one self-help book that elevates itself to become part of the lexicon? Like How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then it was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know if there's been one since then, or if the internet has basically killed that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel it's something that was like, yeah, I guess people just used. There were fewer things like that to read, that were published widely enough for a lot of people to know about them, and I don't know. I mean, people spread plenty of things by mouth nowadays, but
Yeah, they do.
Like COVID. Ugh.
yes, like that.
That's like, I had a thought, I think it was yesterday. I was like, oh my God, you guys remember when all of a sudden everyone had read the DaVinci Code?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was weird. And then Tom Hanks made a bad movie. Well, they made a bad movie with Tom Hanks in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were sequels, which it turns out the DaVinci Code was a sequel, but no one cared about the first one. But for some reason, the DaVinci Code caught on. And then, like, he did a couple more, and then everyone realized he just writes the same book over and over and over again, and everyone stopped talking about Dan Brown. It's very weird. How did that happen? Like, as a society.
Yeah, I don't know. There was just something about DaVinci Code that captured people's imagination, and they just couldn't stop talking about it.
I think it was the whole Jesus aspect.
Yeah.
I think it pissed off these people, which made these people want to go read it, and then it just sort of caught fire.
There's always something fun about a spicy conspiracy theory.
Unfortunately. My favorite recent conspiracy theory was the CIA staged the Super Bowl and put what's his name and what's her name, Kelsey and Swift, together so that when the Chiefs won, because the CIA staged it that way, they would come out and endorse Joe Biden for president. And for some reason, that was the conspiracy theory. And I was watching all this going, huh?
The CIA has done a lot of wrong stuff, but that was not one of them.
Yeah, I watched that game. You can't stage that. That game was insane. But, like, who cares if during the celebration Taylor Swift endorses Joe Biden for president? Why would she do that during her boyfriend's Super Bowl win? Like, what are you talking about? And that's why it's my favorite recent conspiracy theory, because it's so stupid. Like, I also don't understand why Taylor Swift has suddenly become some sort of like figurehead of middle-aged mom culture. I don't get it, but I don't think it's a CIA psyop. Like, what? there still people out there who believe the Earth is flat? I bet there are. Oh, and Phineas said, the wild one I've seen is a bunch of people here, I think he means Australia, are trying to get people to stop using credit cards and whatnot and use cash instead. Is that a...
Because they're tracking them.
I don't know. Is that a... I don't get it. Well, he said instead of, so I'm guessing that he hit enter early.
I mean, that's not a conspiracy theory. You really are being tracked for marketing purposes.
I mean, yeah. But we're all being tracked for marketing purposes all the time. Forever.
Yeah. It's not for nefarious government purposes. It's just for people trying to extract money from your pocket.
Yeah. It's for nefarious business purposes, not nefarious government purposes.
Yes.
Which I think are worse. But like, that's what got me about the whole 5G microchip vaccine thing. Like, people are all over social media, and on Twitter you would say, posted from my iPhone. I'm like,
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to know where you are can already find you, man. Like, shut up.
Yeah, you already paid the phone company hundreds of dollars for that privilege.
Yeah. Oh, man, speaking of the new phone, earlier today, I caught myself scrolling through the App Store looking at games. And then I went, I haven't played games on my phone in a very long time on purpose. Why am I looking at games? And I closed the App Store.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did see Slay the Spire and Monster Train were both there. And I was like, but... Because those are games you buy and then you play, unlike all the freemium crap that it was really wanted me to try. Yay, freemium crap. Brian left and you guys just died. Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm here.
Brian does a lot of talking.
That's true.
He tends to fill the void that we leave.
That's super hot.
Hmm?
Have I tried out the Delta emulator for iOS? I don't know what that is. Is it an emulator of something else that runs on iOS, or is it an iOS emulator? Because the way you worded it, I don't know.
These are the questions we think about all the time.
Yeah. It's what kept me out of the really good schools. Thank goodness, right? I never met these dorks.
Too true.
Thanks to new rulings, Apple has allowed a Nintendo game emulator on the App Store. Huh. Wonder how long until Nintendo scorches the earth until that gets delisted.
Hey, we can always take bets.
Knowing Nintendo, it won't take long. I thought about way back when you have to secure ROMs on your own, though. You don't say. Way back when Casey had sent me, she had bought 2 of those handheld emulator things. And she sent them to me to get all set up. She's like, I don't have the time or patience to do this. Can you make these work? And I was like, sure, I'll see what I can do. And thank goodness I was sitting here completely lost when I mentioned it to Alex Shaw, who I knew was into like handheld emulation. And he goes, oh, yeah. And he said, what models are they? And I said this and this. And he goes, link. Here's a guy who tells you how to set all that stuff up. He's really good. And I was like, oh, Thank you. And I set them up for her. I was like, this is amazing. I should get one of these. But then I never did. I don't know why, but like handheld gaming has just never interested me. Like I had a Game Boy way back in the day. I only ever had 8 games for it. They were super early games. And I just, anytime there was an option to get a new game, I didn't get a Game Boy game.
Oh, the early Game Boy games were a lot more bleep bloopy than what came later.
You're not wrong. But like even later when they stopped being so bleep bloopy, you know, it just didn't do anything for me. And so I've never had any Game Boy since the original Gray Brick. No Advance, no DB, no DS, no 3DS, no PSP. Like I played Hearthstone on my phone for a while. But I don't know, for some reason handheld gaming is just gaming to me is a thing that I do sitting watching a screen, like a television or a monitor. So it's never really playing it on the go, as it were, has never really interested me. Even before I was driving everywhere, you know, when I was younger, I didn't want to. And I'm not entirely sure why that is. Like even the Switch, I very rarely played it in handheld mode. I was always docked and to the TV or to the computer here, always.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe if while I was playing something and I had to pull a Brian and go poop, I would pick it up and take it to the bathroom with me. Maybe. But even that was not 100%. Even if I was in the middle of a game, I would pause and get up and go to the bathroom. Like, so how about you guys? You ever do the handheld gaming thing?
The Switch has made me, yes. I've taken it on trips where when I'm bored or I want to play a game with Trevor. He has a Switch, and so we'll play games together. Pokemon's the one that we do a lot of, like, playing together. And it's a lot of fun to actually play a game with somebody else and be like, yeah, let's do this there. Okay, well, I want to do my own thing, and so I enjoy doing it. I don't have the dock one, like mine is only a handheld. And like I said, I really enjoy getting to do it occasionally, but I have to be. I like playing a game, and then when I get bored with it, I move to another game. It drives Chelsea nuts. She's right beside me, and her response is, drives me nuts. And I say that because I'll get in a mood and be like, I want to play Minecraft. And I'll play Minecraft for like 2-3 weeks. It'll be the game I play. And she'll be like, yes! And she'll jump on and we'll play together and we'll do stuff together and do this. And then I'll go, I'm kind of over this. And I'll move on to something else, and she's just left going, but don't go. Don't go. I need you to build something. Don't go. And I might like reluctantly go and do something and everything, but really my mind is like, okay, when I'm done doing this, I'm going back to what I was doing. So that's kind of what's happened now is I've been playing Pokemon and everything, but now I'm like, okay, I'm good with that for a little bit. I want to go play something else. So
why does that drive Chelsea crazy?
Because she wants me to keep playing. She's like right beside me. She's playing Minecraft, and right now, as she said. And if I were to be like, I'll play Minecraft with you, and I just never played another game, that would make her the happiest person ever.
Oh, so it drives her nuts because if you're playing something else, you're not playing Minecraft with her.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So it's not actually you jumping from game to game that bothers her. It's you jumping away from Minecraft that bothers her.
correct.
Gotcha. Okay, I was really confused. I was like, why would, like, does she get emotionally invested in the games you're playing and then you swap? Like, what am I missing? Ah, got it. Okay.
Yeah. Chelsea will play a game to the point where either it now occupies all her time and it's a job, and then she's like, okay, I needed to remove myself from this because I need to disconnect myself from this for my own good and my family's well-being. And so there are times that has to happen. And it pains her to do it. She has withdrawal. Am I wrong? Her response is, I get the shakes.
Wow. Does that remind you of you and WoW back in the day, Dirk?
Yeah. There were times. Yeah. Now I look back and I'm going, man, I understand it, but I'm glad I've kind of moved away from that. Like the new stuff I'm hearing about the next expansion does get me like, I could jump in and play for a little bit and everything, and then I remember like the current expansion that's out, I enjoyed it, but after about I think I made it maybe about a month and a half, and then was like, okay, I'm good, and I'm ready to move on to something else now. So they hooked me long enough for me to get to play and try out the new stuff and level up characters and learn the new stuff. And even an update went through while I was still playing and got to do a little bit of this and that and everything. And then I was like, okay, I'm good. Moving on. It's just gone through so many expansions and so much drama and so much blah, 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 blah in terms of everything that there are people who have been WoW players since day one, and even through the bad times, they're like, I will never give up on this. I have invested too much time into this. I'm not that person. As soon as I start losing interest in everything, I'm like, I'm cutting bait. I know I dropped a lot of money into this, but I can always cut bait and be like, I'm done. FOMO doesn't have anything on me anymore.
I'm proud of you, Dirk.
Yeah. Like I told you guys I was gonna pick up the Fallout Commander stuff and everything, but whenever I looked it on Amazon, I'm just going, that's just too much money for me to spend on something that, even though I really, really want to get it, unless we get together and like, okay, let's try out these cards, it's just gonna sit in my closet. And I don't need to spend $240 for something that's going to sit in my closet.
Wait a minute. I was momentarily distracted. What's going in your closet?
The commanders, the Fallout Commander stuff.
If you were to get them, yeah.
Somehow I missed that part.
Yeah. Like, unless we're going to get together and play together, and be like, okay, you get this one, we play and play and play and make sure everyone gets a chance to play all the sets and everything, there is no reason for me to go buy it other than FOMO. And if FOMO is what's going to make me buy it, I don't need it. I will say that's one thing WoW did do for me. It really broke me out of FOMO. And for you listeners who don't know what FOMO is, that is the fear of missing out.
It's also Wizards of the Coast's current marketing strategy. Hey-o!
Get this thing. You don't know when it'll come back. So yeah, even though I want it, if I'm not going to play it, there's no reason for me to buy it. I have enough boxes that, like, I have enough Commander stuff that's still in the boxes. Why am I going to buy more stuff? So yeah,
It's true. And yeah, that's how I felt when I stopped playing the other Blizzard games, like Hearthstone. I was like, man, I've put a lot of money into this over the years. Oh well. And Overwatch was the same way. Like, look at all these skins that I've got. Turns out I got out at a good time, because not that long ago they announced that Overwatch 2 would not have any of the stuff that they marketed Overwatch 2 for. All of the single player stuff and PvE stuff and like talent trees and whatnot. No, we're not doing none of that. I was like, man, I got out at a good time.
Because they were playing up pretty much like, this is going to be player versus player. The stuff that you've been doing, that it'll get transferred up, but you're also going to get the single player, all this stuff. I did not realize that they axed that. Well, I think they've stopped supporting it too, haven't they?
Stop supporting what?
Overwatch.
The original? I have no idea.
Oh, like they're not really doing much of anything with it nowadays.
I think there was a cutover from Overwatch 1 to 2.
Because I know there was a bunch of stuff that they just kind of were like, we're gonna put as little effort into doing this as possible. That's what they did with the Warcraft 3 Reforged. They ended up not doing anything that they said that they were going to do to make the game better.
I got no idea.
It was just kind of like Blizzard went through the whole, we're going to promise all this stuff and then not do anything that we said we were going to do. So single player for Overwatch, actually make a decent revamp of Warcraft 3, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, did they ever fix Warcraft 3 Reforged, like, at all?
No.
Oh.
Like, I have Reforged. I never did sell it back, but there was a point where people were so mad that they finally relented. Like, if you want to sell your game back to us, we will reimburse you. I didn't, because if they truly did just screw over the Warcraft 3 people, because unless you are playing Warcraft 3 with no internet whatsoever, so that way the update doesn't go through, that I don't even know if you can, because you still have to have a code, which would then be like, oh yeah, the code you have, that goes this, now you're going to get this new version that completely messes everything up. The old game play, the old graphics and everything, they're gone. It automatically updates it to the new stuff, which is just not Warcraft.
Yeah. What Dirk is trying to say is that when Warcraft 3 Reforged came out, they applied all of the changes to it to all, like, they wanted them to be not just cross-play between original Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 3 Reforged. They wanted everyone to be all playing the same thing. So all of the changes that came with Warcraft 3 Reforged were applied retroactively to original Warcraft 3, whether you bought Reforged or not.
Huh.
Yeah, it was spectacular. And then Reforged was broken and didn't work and was crap. Like, it was monumentally cataclysmic. And yet another way that Blizzard has shown that they are not the same company they used to be. Like
I mean,
it's a problem.
I always had the chance to go and go back and be like, you know what, we screwed up. We're going to go in and we're going to fix this and earn your trust back. And they have just sort of written it off. So yeah.
Yeah, I was amazed at how badly they screwed that up. I'm honestly amazed that Hearthstone is still running.
Yeah, I still see stuff in my Facebook feed about it. I'm like,
Well, they're still making new stuff for it, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's card games are how you can do it, especially if you have competitions and esport stuff and everything.
Yeah, they completely stopped supporting Heroes of the Storm, except for a skeleton crew who for a long time was still doing like balance patches and whatnot. I have no idea if that's still a thing. I think when Overwatch 2 went free to play, I think sometime soon thereafter is when they shot original Overwatch in the face, I think. Because for the longest time, if you were playing on one, you could play on both. Like they were... Like Overwatch 2 really was just a weird like reskin, and they removed one character, or like one... It was 6v6, then Overwatch 2 was 5v5 for some reason. But they had promised so much like single player or offline or no, what are the PvE stuff that Bill and I were super excited for, and then just I don't know, sometime in the last year or so they're like, yeah, we're not actually going to do any of that. I remember sending the link to the story to Bill and being like, dude, we got out just in time. What is this crap? And Bill's like, that was the only reason I kept playing for so long. Turns out when all of the talent, like, or the leaders, maybe not talent, that sounds cruel, but when all the, like, lead designers and whatnot leave your company, then stuff just sort of goes...
Uh-huh.
Apparently Marvel Snap is going great, though.
Oh, good.
Judging from the people in the Manapool Discord who still play. Excuse me. I don't know why, but I don't have that itch. It's weird. I really thought I would continue to have that itch. I do not. Maybe it's because I shower more. I mean, what?
Yeah, just looking on Steam and Overwatch 2. Recent reviews, mostly negative. All reviews, overwhelmingly negative.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, look at that. I mean, that's on Steam, though.
Yeah, but you're not going to find any stuff like that on Blizzard's website, where people are going to say what they think. At least Steam lets you, write a review, whether the review is correct or not. At least they let you do it. And there's 250,000 people who reviewed or left a review.
Yeah, I see that. 258,000 reviews. And 258,002 reviews, and it's overwhelmingly negative. Oof. That's... bruh. But, like, Overwatch 2 also did that thing where they started being shameless in their horrible monetization. Like, we thought the loot boxes in Overwatch were bad, but Overwatch 2 is just like, give us money for this skin. It's only available for the next, like, 68 minutes. You're gonna miss it. Give us money now. Now! And they've got the Battle Pass thing, which I swear I think Battle Passes are worse than loot boxes. Because then they turn playing the game into a job. Ugh. The whole thing is just distasteful. Well, this got depressing. Quick, somebody say something happy.
Maternal.
Did you say maternal?
Doom Eternal.
Oh. Like the do part of that got cut off, so all you did was go, maternal. I'm like, what?
I was trying to take you to your happy place.
Doom Eternal
Obviously,
and Maternal are both my happy places, yeah. I love my mother. Oh, well. Let's, I guess we should stop then, huh?
Yeah, I gotta head to bed.
Probably.
Well then, let me remind everyone to go to patreon.com/themanapool to become a lifeguard, you know, if you wanna. I mean, I'd appreciate it. And also, let me thank our mythic lifeguards: Al, Kim Ho, Scuzzo, John Parker, Jake Jansons, Michael, Timu Hellas Haru, Scroll, Jason Kaus, Casey, Jason Doan. A lot of Jasons in here. Not sure about that. ALK Alters, and Andrew Odie. Yay, thank you, mythic lifeguards, and all of our lifeguards, and all the tiers, and all of you listening, or watching live, or whatever. Special Mother's Day edition, Doom Maternal. Is that where you give all the demons a hug until they cry?
That's right.
Yeah.
You give them a big squeeze until their heads pop off.
Oh, you do that in the main game. Oh, Lord. Well, with that, then, I guess we'll be done. So, I hope everyone enjoys your X-Men 97 or your Fallout or your Doom Eternal or your Dune 2 or what else have we talked about?
The other one on the list.
Do what?
Wish was the other one on the list.
A Wish.
Brian was going to talk about Wish.
I still don't even know what Wish is. So, I guess I'm just out of the loop there. He's like, it's the latest Disney movie. I'm like, I got nothing. Oh, well. So, all right. So, this has been another Dorks Just Chatting. I hope you all have a fabulous whatever time period it is right now. And come hang out with me while I stream on twitch.tv/themanapool. On Fridays, I do Final Fantasy Fridays, and I've been playing Final Fantasy Renaissance. And it's been a lot of fun. My party is... Hang on, let me see if I can remember, since I did the class change. Dragoon, Rhythmist. What is the Geomancer? Elementalist. Summoner? I think the Evoker turns into a Summoner. Yeah. It was Lancer, Dancer, Geomancer, Evoker, but now it's less fun to say because I got the rat tail and took it to Bahamut. Anyway, right. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and go do things that are fun for you. Oh, goodbye.